This time of year for coaches, post-Super Bowl, everyone's in a great mood. All the coaches at the NFL Combine in a couple of weeks. They'll be in a great mood. I don't know if there's a coach in America that can be in a better mood than Shane Beamer, quite frankly, who joins us on OutKick 360. Coach, is there anything to complain about right now from where you sit? You get the great season, outstanding finish, tons of momentum where you build on last year into this past season, and you get the big raise as well. Congrats on all the success there.
No, I appreciate it. Very blessed and very grateful. And we've accomplished a lot in a short period of time, but still have a lot to do and a lot of work to get done as well. And we're hard at it right now. And I've always been a kind of a glasses half full kind of guy. So even if I did have something to complain about,
And with that personality and that mindset, how giddy do you get when someone talks trash about you? When a coach at Kentucky talks about silly photos and dances, or there's any bit of bulletin board material, you seem like the type of personality that thrives on those types of things and doesn't get upset with it. You love it because you know you can use it with your guys.
No, it's part of it, and that's coaching in the SEC and at a high level for sure. And certainly, you're always looking for ways to find a way to motivate your players and have them play with maybe a little bit more of an edge. And I pay attention to things and don't worry about things that I can't control and don't want to clutter my mind with different stuff. But certainly I've been known to, keep receipts, I think is the term as well, when people say things. And you're always looking, I'm going to have fun in what I'm doing. And you're always looking for ways to kind of find an edge too, with whether it be yourself, motivating yourself, or with your team too.
Do you think it's important for coaches, especially in college, to at least know the temperature of what's being said about them from a media perspective? Since your job is not to draft, it's to recruit. So you it's a positive to know what shows are saying about you or what the media thinks of your program?
Yeah, I think I'd be lying if I said that it didn't matter. I think the days of saying I don't pay attention to any of that and I don't listen to any of that, I don't think that's necessarily real reality right now. And I don't mean that to say that it affects me in the way that I do my job, because it doesn't. I don't allow an outside opinion that doesn't matter to affect how I do things. But I'm also aware that we only have our players for 4 hours a day legally in our football facility. So there's 20 hours during the day that they're not around us. And when they aren't, they're on their phones and they're listening to the radio and they're hearing from friends and family and things like that. So I think you certainly, not so much maybe what's being said about me, but I think you need, as a coach, in my opinion, to just have a general idea of what the temperature is outside this building as well. I mean, I've said it in press conferences about, the outside noise and things like that. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm insulated here during the season. I come in early, I work, I go home late, I see my family, and that's really about it, and don't listen to much else that's out there. But certainly I do think it helps to be aware, because your players are certainly hearing that.
South Carolina head coach Shane Beamer, our guest on OutKick 360. What did the back-to-back wins over Tennessee and Clemson mean for the program, mean for momentum, mean for the Garnet Trust, all of that combined as you go into this offseason?
Yeah, no, it's a lot. Just, to solidify, it's another example of the things that we're doing here in this program, and to solidify the track that we're on in people's minds. And we've made a lot of progress since we took over to start the 2021 season, or after the 2020 season. We've made a lot of progress. But, to win those games, to beat Tennessee, who was a fantastic team last season, but to do it on national television in an amazing environment at home where the whole country saw it. But then everybody's kind of looking at you and saying, I don't know if they can do it again. And not only did we do it again, we went on the road and did it. And we went down 14-0 to our arch rival that we hadn't beaten in a while, and did it again. So just from a perception standpoint, the energy with our fan base, the energy in our program right now, period, and then just the perception nationally with fans and recruits, it certainly if their eyes weren't already open, they were now. And there's a lot of people that are interested in South Carolina football. And it's a culmination of the things that we've done since we got hired. But a lot of that is based on the way we played in the last 2 regular season games also.
I don't think a quarterback could play better than Spencer Rattler did in that Tennessee game. And that's not just him, who's a great talent, but any quarterback. It was almost the perfect game from him, and really showed the possibility of the ceiling for him But that wasn't always the case a year ago in terms of his play throughout the year. Coach, how do you get him closer to that? Maybe not that every week, but closer to that ceiling consistently as you've got Spencer Rattler coming back next season?
Yeah, we saw he's a fantastic person first and foremost, and so happy that he's back. He's a great leader for us, and a lot of the things that he showed in that Tennessee game, we had seen him practice throughout the year, and he made some great plays in games throughout the season. But he'll be the first to tell you, just wasn't as consistent enough with it, and he really took off in that Tennessee game and followed it up against Clemson as well the next week. And I think the thing for Spencer is he went out there that night and just played very free and very confidently and very loose. And he gave his receivers opportunities to make plays. And we told him going into that game, with the way that Tennessee played defense, our receivers were going to have a lot of man-to-man, one-on-one opportunities. And even if they were covered, to throw that ball up and give our guys an opportunity to go make plays, and they did that night. And then he made some fantastic throws as well that very few quarterbacks in the world can make. So I was excited for that. And now for us as coaches, it's going back and looking at, okay, why did he play that way in those last two games? Maybe what did we not do a good enough job of helping him leading into those games? What did we do to help him in those games? And then with a new offensive coordinator being here, kind of marrying what he does along with what Spencer feels comfortable with, and then just continuing to get better. And that's what Spencer did at the end of the season, and that's what I've seen him do since the end of our season as well, going into 2023.
South Carolina head coach Shane BEAMER, our guest on OutKick 360. Coach, you've always been known as a great recruiter throughout your career, even as an assistant coach. But when you look back on when you started out in college coaching, when you got a guy, you got him. When you got him signed, there wasn't as much re-recruitment every season or every day that went on. How much with transfer portal, NIL, everything else, has that added to your plate in terms of not just recruiting high school players, but recruiting guys on your own team every single year to make sure that they're happy, they want to be there, and they want to stay? Has that increased the workload a lot?
Yeah, I think it's, the workload is certainly different because there are so many different dynamics that you're dealing with that no coach has ever had to prior to this. My dad, when he was coaching, never dealt with name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal. And there's a lot of positives to it. I don't mean it in a negative way, but it's definitely different, and it presents more challenges without a doubt. I mean, the month of December is just chaos with signing day, transfer portal, your own roster, bringing guys in, getting ready for a bowl game. I mean, it's just so much going on in December after a season. But, for us, it's not so much, trying to quote unquote re-recruit the roster. I mean, I'm going to be me. Our staff is going to be ourselves. We don't worry about, well, we got to, be nice to this guy and not coach him as hard because we're worried about him leaving if we upset him. I mean, we haven't changed the way that we coached or how we do things. We're going to, love these guys up and care about them and be honest with them, talking about our players in our program, and then coach them really hard, be demanding, be accountable, or hold them accountable. And, hopefully that's a place that guys want to be a part of. And then if they don't, and there's a better opportunity for them elsewhere, then, we'll help them find a different home if this isn't the spot for them. But, we certainly lost some guys to the transfer portal like a lot of schools did, but ours were very, 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 very minimal. And, we've got to do a great job of developing our roster. And then again, just treating our guys right and making this be a place that they want to be a part of.
Coach, do you recall the first time that you saw film or tape of the five-star defensive end, athlete, wide receiver, tight end hybrid, Nick Harbor, and what'd you think?
Yeah, he's got a lot of positions.
Yeah.
I do. I literally was just telling somebody at my kid's school earlier today that story, and I was coaching at Oklahoma actually, and we were I was in Washington D.C. recruiting, and we had they had an offensive lineman at that school that we were recruiting at Oklahoma by the name of Antone Harrison that ended up playing left tackle for Oklahoma and is getting ready for the NFL draft now. And I was there recruiting him, and I remember Coach Harris, the head coach at Nick's high school, Archbishop Carroll, and he showed me this video. He said, I got to show you, I've got this freshman that's going to be an unbelievable football player. And it was him running a race on the track. And It's the first time I've ever seen a football player where the first video that the coach shows me is the guy running a race. And I remember watching the video and saying, this guy plays football, asking that question because I was just blown. My mind was blown watching him, how fast he was. And then he brought him by and he showed me that's him right there. And then you saw the height and just the athleticism at first glance. So yeah, that was the first time I ever saw video of him. That's the first time I saw him in person, and he's a heck of a talent and a heck of a player and a great young man that comes from a great family too.
I feel like that happens more often than most would know, where it's video or you see a guy in another sport where it really jumps out how special they are as an athlete. We hear from a lot of coaches, I saw their high school basketball tape, or I saw them hit a home run, the furthest I've ever seen in a high school game. Do you see that a lot with guys when you see them play another sport, and that's where it really settles in that, man, this guy's special?
Yeah, it does, because I think you see the athleticism, and I love recruiting guys that play different sports, and we're able to watch guys run track or play baseball or whatever. We have an offensive tackle on our team here, Ryan Brubaker from Pennsylvania, that the first time I ever saw any video of Ryan Brubaker, he was in a swim meet. And he was a competitive swimmer as a high school offensive lineman, and that's pretty impressive. And you're sitting there as a coaching staff, and you're watching this tape, and it's a race where he's behind, and he comes back at the end and wins, and we're all sitting there cheering like we know the guy and we're invested in him. But you're able to see that, okay, this guy's an offensive lineman, but he's also a competitive swimmer. That's pretty impressive. So yeah, the more of that you can see, not just the football, but just the overall athleticism, competitive spirit. That you're able to see from different sports, I think it's really beneficial and something that I love.
How do you when you see Alabama and Georgia year after year after year pull off these recruiting classes? How motivating is it versus celebrating what you're building currently versus where you want to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that you're striving for, and if you don't want to compete against the best and coach against the best and play against the best, then I'm in the wrong conference. You know, this is the best conference in America, and there's a reason that schools like Texas and Oklahoma are trying to come to the SEC. It's because this is where the best of the best are in college athletics, and I love that. I mean, as a competitor, you say, okay, you're feeling pretty good about things right here, but all you have to see is the team that's 2 hours and 45 minutes away and is in our division just won the national championship, and Alabama and all their success, and LSU recently, and on and on and on. So that motivates me. That certainly there's no complacency around here. I mean, you can't. And our guys, myself, we're hungry. We're not just satisfied with 8 wins, and we know where we have to get to as well to be where we want to be, and that's getting to their level where we can eventually and hopefully beat them. And we did that. I was at Georgia Kirby's first season back in 2016, and I saw the progress we made from 2016 to then in 2017 winning the SEC and playing for the national championship. So I know the work that went into that program to make that next step, and now we've got to try and do the same thing here at Carolina as well, and we have all the resources here to do that.
Coach Shane Beamer, our guest. Chad and I agreed the last time you joined us, your backdrop, your setup in your office is legit. You have so much memorabilia and helmets, footballs, photos. What did you remove to put up either the Tennessee or the Clemson the game balls? Because you had to put something off the shelf. What was replaced?
That's a good question. I think I'm probably looking at it on my screen right now. I think I just moved the game balls around, to be honest with you. I've got one around the corner from me. And then at my house here in Columbia, I've got a couple that I took home as well. So I think I just replaced an old one, put a new one up there, and replaced the old one, I think is what I did.
So you just put the most recent game ball behind you as it goes, or this was a special movement at the end of the season?
I think it was a special movement. I'm trying to get it, the game balls, the most recent game balls. So I've got, a couple Oklahoma ones here over my right shoulder and some different places as well. But certainly if there's a recent game ball, my equipment guy was getting on me a couple weeks ago because I got in the habit of giving out like too many game balls after big wins and like saying everybody gets a game ball. Well, when you say everybody, that's a lot of people in this football program as well. also, so I've got to be smart about that. But yeah, I guess what I did was the most recent ones, put them up there, and certainly it's good conversation pieces when people are in here also.
No doubt. Hey, Coach, thank you for the time, man. Always great to catch up with you, and hopefully we can do it again soon, a little bit after spring ball or something.
Yeah, I would love that. Appreciate you guys for having me on, and keep up the awesome work.
Yeah, congrats on everything.
Yeah,
Thanks.
congratulations. Shane Beamer has been our guest, 2 for 2 in those chats with him. Really cool.